You've been lied to about who the real millionaires are. They don't drive Lamborghinis, they clip coupons. They don't live in mansions, they live right next door. And today I'm going to expose exactly how they did it, in just 10 power-packed chapters. This isn't just another boring summary. This is the real playbook, backed by years of research and lived habits of America's quiet millionaires. So don't skip. Every second of this video builds on the last. And if you miss even one chapter, you'll miss the mindset that separates the truly wealthy from the wannabes. This is Hidden Millionaires, and you're about to see why our videos don't just summarize, they unlock. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Who really becomes a millionaire? They walk past you at the grocery store, they sit next to you in traffic, and sometimes they live just a few houses down the street. But you'd never know, because they don't look rich, they don't act rich, they don't need to prove anything. Because they already have what most people spend their lives chasing: financial freedom. The world has sold us a fantasy that millionaires live in glass mansions, wear designer watches, and drive roaring supercars. But the truth? The real millionaires, the ones who stay wealthy, live lives so modest, so under the radar, you'd never believe they have millions in the bank. Thomas J. Stanley and William Danko spent decades researching these people. Not celebrities. Not lottery winners. But ordinary men and women who built wealth quietly, sometimes even on average salaries. You know what they found? The average American millionaire doesn't live in Beverly Hills or Manhattan. They live in middle-class neighborhoods. They wear off-brand shoes. They buy used cars. And they're not trying to impress anyone, because their self-worth isn't tied to what they wear or drive. They understand something the rest of the world misses. Looking rich is easy, but staying rich takes discipline. Here's what's even crazier. Many of them were first-generation wealthy. They didn't inherit money. They didn't have rich parents. They simply mastered the basics. Spend less than you earn. Invest wisely. Ignore the noise. This chapter shatters the illusion. It pulls the curtain back on what it really takes to build wealth in silence. No flashy shows, no fake flexing. Just focus, patience, and a powerful mindset. This isn't just a book. It's a reality check. If you've ever felt like the world's been feeding you a lie about success, you're not alone. And if you're ready to learn how normal people become millionaires, you've already taken the first step by watching this video. Let's go deeper. Chapter 2 is going to give you the exact formula real millionaires follow. And trust me, it might just change how you measure success forever. Chapter 2. The Wealth Formula. Pause versus UAWs. What if I told you that income means nothing if you don't know how to keep it? That two people earning the exact same salary can live entirely different financial lives. One building wealth quietly, the other slowly drowning in debt. This is where the true millionaire mindset begins. And it all starts with understanding the difference between two types of people. Pause, prodigious accumulators of wealth, and UAWs, under-accumulators of wealth. On the surface, they look the same. They might live in the same neighborhood, drive similar cars, even have the same job title. But here's the shocking truth. One is financially free. The other is financially fragile. Let's break it down. A PAW is someone who has a net worth far above what you'd expect for their age and income. They don't just earn money, they keep it, grow it, protect it. They budget, they invest, they delay gratification. They don't care about impressing others. They care about becoming unshakably secure. Now on the flip side, we have the UAW. These are people who might look rich on the outside, but behind the scenes, they're spending every dime. No savings, no plan, no peace. They're chasing validation, not freedom. And eventually, that mask cracks. So how do you know which one you are? Stanley and Danko give us a simple formula. Take your age, multiply it by your annual income, and divide that number by 10. That's your expected net worth. If your actual net worth is double that number, you're a PAW. If it's less than half, you're a UAW. Let's say you're 40 years old and you make 10 lakhs a year. 40 times 10 lakhs equals 4 crore. Divide that by 10, 40 lakhs. If your net worth is above 80 lakhs, congratulations, you're a PAW. If it's below 20 lakhs, you've got work to do. But here's the powerful part. Being a PAW isn't about luck. It's about lifestyle. It's about mastering habits that most people ignore. And the beauty? Anyone can become one. Yes, even if you're starting late. Even if you've made money mistakes. This chapter isn't just about calculating wealth. It's about changing your definition of success, not by how much you earn, but by how much you keep. So ask yourself honestly, are you growing wealth in silence or performing wealth in public? Because Chapter 3 is going to take this even deeper and show you how real millionaires live far below their means, even when they don't have to. This is where transformation truly begins. Chapter 3, Living Below Your Means. Imagine earning enough to buy whatever you want and still choosing not to. That's not poverty, that's power. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't have an income problem, they have a spending problem. And the world constantly pushes us to spend more, show off more, and feel like we're never enough until we buy something. But real millionaires? They've mastered the art of saying no. Not because they can't afford it, but because they don't need it. Frugality isn't about being cheap. It's about being intentional. It's the superpower that separates the quietly rich from the constantly broke. The millionaire next door didn't become a millionaire by accident. They tracked their expenses. They planned their purchases. They avoided the trap that ruins most people the moment they start earning more. Lifestyle inflation. That's when someone gets a raise, and suddenly their car gets bigger, their clothes get flashier, their dinners get fancier. But their savings? Flat. Because every new rupee they earn is already being spent. The true wealthy don't fall for that trap. They live like they're still broke, not because they have to, but because they know. Wealth is not what you spend, it's what you keep. One self-made millionaire interviewed in the book lived in the same modest house for over 30 years. He could afford a mansion, but he chose simplicity. Because his money had a mission, not to impress neighbors, but to build freedom for his family. This chapter is a mirror. It forces us to ask, are we chasing appearances or are we building freedom? Because every unnecessary purchase is a chain, and every rupee saved is a key. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about giving yourself something bigger. Peace, options, and a future that's not dependent on the next paycheck. Millionaires understand that true happiness doesn't come from stuff. It comes from control over your time, your money, your life. And when you live below your means, you don't shrink your lifestyle, you expand your power. So before you scroll to your next Amazon cart, ask yourself, is this helping me get richer or just look richer? In Chapter 4, we'll uncover how millionaires don't just spend wisely, they manage their time, energy, and money like assets. And that's a game changer. Chapter 4, Time, Energy, and Money. Allocating like the wealthy. Money is not your most valuable asset. Time is. And energy, that's your fuel. The real millionaires know this, and they treat these three things like gold. Most people spend their day reacting. They wake up late, scroll through social media, rush through tasks, spend hours on distractions, and then wonder where the day went. But the wealthy? They operate differently. They understand something simple but life-changing. How you spend your day is how you spend your life. That's why millionaires don't just budget their money, they budget their time. They block it, protect it, and pour it into things that matter: growth, health, family, and freedom. Think about this. We all get the same 24 hours, but some people use those hours to build empires, while others use them to binge a show they won't remember tomorrow. It's not luck, it's allocation. Real millionaires guard their mornings like a fortress. They know those early hours are when the mind is sharpest. That's when they read, think, plan, make decisions that move them forward. They also know how to protect their energy. They don't waste it on petty arguments, meaningless comparisons, or toxic environments. Because every bit of wasted energy is energy not spent on building their future. And of course, they manage their money like it's alive. Because it is. They track it, grow it, invest it. Every rupee has a job, every dollar has direction. This is what most people miss. It's not just about cutting expenses. It's about being ruthless with how you spend your life force. You don't have to be rich to start thinking like the wealthy. You just need to ask yourself 3 questions every day. Am I spending my time on what truly matters? Am I protecting my energy from people and habits that drain me? Am I directing my money with purpose, not impulse? Because success isn't built in one big moment. It's built in the quiet, disciplined choices we make every single day. And this chapter is your reminder. If you don't control your time, energy, and money, someone else will. In the next chapter, we'll expose the biggest trap that keeps people broke even when they look rich. Let's talk about status and why real millionaires don't need to prove anything to anyone. Chapter 5. Avoiding status traps. If you saw them on the street, you'd never guess they were millionaires. No Rolex, no Gucci, no luxury car with a customized plate, just jeans, a quiet car, and a confident silence. Why? Because real wealth doesn't scream, it whispers. In today's world, we're taught to perform success, to chase likes, labels, and loud luxury, not because we need it, but because we want to be seen. But the moment you start living for appearances, you start paying a price far bigger than money. It's called the status trap, and it's everywhere. Someone gets a raise, and suddenly their lifestyle inflates. A bigger car, a better phone, a house they can't really afford. And now, they're not free. They're trapped in a cycle of spending, just to impress people who aren't even watching. Here's the uncomfortable truth that the Millionaire Next Door reveals. The people who try the hardest to look rich usually aren't. And the ones who quietly build wealth, they don't care if you know. They're not buying things to feel valuable, because they already know their value. One millionaire in the book drove a 10-year-old Toyota. His neighbors thought he was just getting by. What they didn't know? He had more than $5 million invested, no debt, and full control of his life. Meanwhile, the guy next door? Wearing designer suits and leasing a Mercedes he couldn't afford. Drowning in monthly payments, living paycheck to paycheck just to keep up. This chapter is your wake-up call. Status doesn't build freedom. Discipline does. Millionaires avoid status traps not because they're stingy, but because they understand trade-offs. Every time you spend to impress, you're stealing from your future. Every time you choose image over investment, you're making someone else richer, not yourself. But once you step out of that race, once you stop caring about what others think, you finally become free to build, to save, to live life on your own terms, not someone else's expectations. So the next time you feel that itch to upgrade, ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it or because I want someone else to notice? Because what truly makes you wealthy isn't on the outside. It's in your mindset, your habits, and your ability to delay short-term applause for long-term peace. In Chapter 6, we'll dive into a truth most people don't want to hear. You don't need rich parents to become rich yourself. In fact, not inheriting money might be the biggest advantage you have. Chapter 6. Self-made, not family-made. We grow up believing a lie, that you need to be born into wealth to become wealthy. But the truth? Most millionaires didn't inherit anything. No golden trust funds, no family empires, just grit, discipline, and quiet determination. It's easy to look at rich people and assume they were handed everything, that they had some secret shortcut, that they were born lucky. But research from the Millionaire Next Door tells a different story, one that will shatter your excuses and fuel your motivation. Over 80% of American millionaires are first-generation rich. They weren't raised with wealth. They created it. They started small. Many of them worked regular jobs, built small businesses, or lived on average incomes. But instead of spending every rupee they earned, they planted seeds, they saved, they learned, they invested. And most importantly, they didn't wait for anyone to rescue them. They made wealth happen. Now here's the twist. Many of those who did inherit money, they lost it, quickly. Because inherited wealth without financial discipline is a disaster waiting to happen. It creates comfort without effort, spending without responsibility, entitlement without wisdom. Stanley and Danko found that adult children who constantly receive financial support from wealthy parents often end up less successful, less motivated, and less independent than those who were taught to earn on their own. Why? Because struggle builds strength. Because when you have to figure it out, you do. And when you don't, you drift. True millionaires know that giving their kids money isn't always a gift. Sometimes it's a curse. That's why the best wealth you can build isn't just money. It's mindset. It's work ethic. It's the quiet belief that no matter where you start, you are capable of building a life that's bigger than your background. So if you weren't born rich, good. That means you're free to create your own path, to write your own rules, to build wealth with wisdom, not inheritance. You don't need a rich dad. You need a rich mindset. And the best part? That starts today, with what you have, right now. In the next chapter, we'll look at how real millionaires raise their kids. not to depend on their money, but to build their own. Let's step into Chapter 7. Raising financially independent children. Every parent wants to give their children a better life. But what if giving too much actually takes away what matters most? Real millionaires know something most people don't. Money without mindset leads to misery. That's why the wealthiest families, the ones who stay wealthy, don't just pass down riches. They pass down responsibility. It might sound harsh, but it's true. Helping your kids too much financially can hurt them more than help them. Stanley and Danko called it economic outpatient care. When parents, out of love, keep supporting their adult children with money, they cover rent, they buy cars, they pay off credit cards, and what happens? Those children become dependent. Not just financially, but mentally. They never learn to stand on their own. They never feel the urgency to build, struggle, or grow. But the millionaires in this study? They did things differently. They taught their children to earn, to budget, to solve problems, to fail and try again. Because they understood, confidence doesn't come from comfort. It comes from overcoming. One of the most powerful insights in the Millionaire Next Door is this. The most financially independent adult children are usually the ones who receive the least economic help from their parents. Why? Because they were forced to develop the very traits that create wealth: discipline, work ethic, creativity, resilience. It's not about being cold or withholding love. It's about preparing your children for the real world, not protecting them from it. Millionaire parents give their kids something far more valuable than money: the belief that they can create their own success. They have open conversations about money, not just how to spend it, but how to earn it, grow it, and respect it. They lead by example. They show their children what it looks like to live below your means, to invest consistently, to avoid debt, and to value freedom over flash. So if you're a parent watching this, remember, your job isn't to carry your kids forever. Your job is to teach them how to walk, and then let them run. Because nothing feels better than seeing your child thrive, not because of what you gave them, but because of what you taught them. In Chapter 8, we explore the surprising truth about careers and why earning a high income doesn't always lead to real wealth. Let's keep going. Chapter 8, Choosing the Right Career Path. High income is not the same as high wealth. In today's world, the message is loud and clear. Become a doctor, be a lawyer, land that high-paying corporate job, make big money, and you'll be successful. But here's the truth most people miss. A high salary does not equal financial freedom. You can earn 20 lakhs a year and still be drowning in debt. You can wear suits that cost more than a middle-class paycheck and still live paycheck to paycheck. The problem isn't income. The problem is lifestyle. Millionaires know this. That's why many of them don't chase prestige. They chase practicality. Let me tell you something shocking from the book. A large percentage of real millionaires are self-employed in ordinary, even boring industries. Think about it. They run small plumbing businesses. They own car repair shops. They manage construction companies. They're auctioneers, farmers, welders, and contractors. No spotlight, no media coverage, no flashy job titles. And yet, they quietly build wealth year after year. Why? Because their jobs give them freedom, discipline, and control over how they earn and how they spend. Contrast that with the high-income professional. They're expected to live in elite neighborhoods, drive imported cars, send kids to private schools, dine in high-end restaurants. They don't save, they display. Millionaires avoid that trap. They understand the most important financial rule. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep. They build lives where expenses are always lower than income. They reinvest profits. They avoid debt. They focus on net worth, not net income. So what does that mean for you? If you're young and planning your future, ask yourself, do I want to impress others, or do I want to be free? If you're already in a high-income job, take a step back. Audit your lifestyle. Are you truly building wealth, or just chasing appearances? Choose a path, a career where you can live below your means, save aggressively, invest early, and work on your own terms. Because the goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to be free. Millionaires don't just pick jobs. They design lives. They don't ask, how much can I make? They ask, how much can I keep and grow? That's the real secret. And in the next chapter, you'll see how discipline becomes the engine that keeps this wealth-building machine running. no matter what the world throws your way. Let's move forward. Chapter 9: Spotting and Seizing Market Opportunities. Millionaires don't just wait for opportunities, they learn how to recognize them when others overlook. They've trained their eyes to see value where others see risk. It's not always about starting a flashy business or becoming the next tech billionaire. Often, it's about understanding a gap in the market, offering a better solution, or simply stepping into a growing trend before the crowd rushes in. Unlike those who chase quick money, wealthy individuals are patient observers. They study industries, trends, and patterns. They understand that wealth isn't created by luck alone. It's built through preparation, meeting opportunity. Whether it's investing in real estate in an up-and-coming neighborhood, backing a small but promising startup, or starting a low-cost service business with high demand, the key is clarity of vision and a willingness to act. They know the importance of taking calculated risks, not reckless ones. Before they invest time or money, they research deeply. They calculate the worst-case scenario and ensure they can handle it. But once the math makes sense and the opportunity is sound, they don't sit around doubting themselves. They move, because hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever could. And when things go wrong, because sometimes they do, millionaires don't fold. They reflect, adjust, and come back smarter. Every setback teaches them something that compounds into future success. Building wealth isn't about always being right. It's about being bold enough to try, wise enough to learn, and disciplined enough to keep going. That's what sets them apart from the crowd. Not luck, not inheritance, but the mindset to see opportunity and the courage to seize it. Chapter 10: The Millionaire Mindset. What truly separates millionaires from the rest isn't just money, it's how they think. Their mindset is wired differently. While most people chase instant gratification, millionaires play the long game. They understand that real wealth takes time, patience, and a clear sense of purpose. Every decision they make, from what they buy to how they spend their time, is filtered through a bigger vision. They don't see money as the end goal. They see it as a tool, a resource to gain freedom, security, and choices in life. And with that tool, they build wisely. They're not driven by the need to show off or impress others. Instead, they're driven by quiet confidence and a deep belief in building something meaningful and lasting. Discipline is at the core of their daily habits. Millionaires rarely act out of impulse. They save, invest, and delay pleasures that most people can't resist. While others upgrade their lifestyles with every raise, millionaires often keep living below their means. They've mastered self-control, not just financially, but mentally. They can ignore trends, tune out distractions, and focus on what truly matters. They're also lifelong learners. They read more, listen more, ask better questions, and surround themselves with people who challenge their thinking. They don't pretend to know everything. They just commit to constantly improving. And perhaps most importantly, they don't fear failure. They see it as part of the process, a lesson, not a loss. The millionaire mindset isn't about luck, inheritance, or connections. It's about how you think, what you prioritize, and how consistently you act. If this chapter opened your eyes to how millionaires truly think and build their wealth, imagine what you'll discover in the rest of our videos. This is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Don't stop here. Check out our other summaries and deep dives. Each one is packed with insights that can reshape how you earn, save, and grow your money. Like what you saw? Then hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more real, practical knowledge. No fluff. Remember, wealth isn't a secret, it's a mindset, and you're already on the path. Now go watch our next video, because your journey to financial freedom is just getting started.